Hey everyone, the first two episodes of Agatha All Along just dropped on Disney Plus, and after the absolute disaster that was The Acolyte, I was fully ready to write off the show too. Didn't know much about Agatha beyond what we saw in WandaVision, and honestly, she wasn't a character I ever liked all that much, but meh, I needed some background noise while I was cleaning, so I decided to give it a shot, turned it on, and you know what? I actually kind of liked it. I know a bunch of you are out there screaming, no, but hear me out on this, okay? Just hear me out. But first, please hit like on this video and give this video a thumbs up and give me a chance to explain to you, since you can always take back that like later. No hard feelings at all. So don't be shy. Drop a comment also and let me know what you're thinking, because who knows, you may just change my mind. The series opens with Agatha as a messy, foul-mouthed detective who feels like a dumbed-down supernatural take on Columbo. A woman has been murdered, and the chief insists this is a case that only Agatha can solve. So she's pulled back from suspension to work on it. The murder case itself acts as a mental puzzle box, shaking Agatha out of the mind prison that is the Darkhold, allowing her to return to the real world. Cue the teenage boy who's behind her escape. He woke her up because he needs her to help him find the Witch Road, this mystical path that leads to one's deepest desire. For Agatha, that's regaining her lost power. And with the Salem 7 coming after her, she reluctantly agrees to form a coven and to help find the Witch Road in order to really regain her magic and defend herself. At first glance, the setup is pretty basic. Agatha, as a schlubby detective in the Darkhold, yeah, that did not excite me. In fact, if the series had spent any more time with her solving that boring murder mystery, I would have called it quits. It just wasn't interesting, and her detective character fell flat and really uninspired. But then Agatha breaks out of the Darkhold and things really start to get interesting, and I found myself actually sitting down to watch because I started kind of liking Agatha's personality in the real world, and I wanted to know what happened next. So, yeah, they kind of hooked me on that. The most interesting concept in the series is that we are seeing a villain's origin story, but it's taking place at a midpoint in Agatha's character development, which means that maybe, just maybe, she could surprise us as a hero. But for now, she's still a villain. We already know who she is and what she's capable of doing. And we know she can be trusted. But what I love is how brash and unapologetic she is. She's not just some mustache twirling evildoer. She's got a sarcastic wit and is unafraid to call people out on their stupidity. There's something refreshing about a villain who doesn't play nice just for the sake of it and is funny while doing it. Even without her magic, Agatha is not weak. She uses her smarts to navigate challenges, and that kind of makes her compelling. Honestly, she's already a far more interesting character than either May or Osha from The Acolyte. The show's creator clearly paid attention to the narrative mess that was The Acolyte and decided to avoid some of those big pitfalls by giving us a smart, cunning anti-hero, villain, who's not afraid to use her brain as well as her attitude. During the first two episodes, Agatha transforms from this really irritating detective to a witch with a calculated plan to get her power back at the expense of anyone who might be of use. I can respect that kind of honesty in a villain. She is not pretending to be anything else. The question is, can she keep my attention for the entire season? I don't know. Based on these episodes, I think there's a good chance that she might. To find the Witch Road, Agatha really needs to assemble a new coven. There's just one problem. The Salem Seven are on their way, and she doesn't have a whole lot of time to mess around figuring out who's willing to join and who's not. And let's be honest, what kind of witch would want to join a coven with a notorious, power stealing witch killer who lost her own power? Well, nobody with half a brain. So Agatha visits a diviner who provides her with a list of bottom of the barrel witches who just might be desperate enough to take the risk. The series introduces a handful of witches, and in typical Disney fashion, they check the diversity box, but they are all interesting choices and engaging characters. So it does feel like they went for talent over type in casting. I also really loved that Aubrey Plaza plays the witch from Agatha's past. And I don't know if she's meant to be some kind of love interest or not, but there is a strange antagonistic chemistry between them that is very subtle. And there's also a nod to Bewitched with Agatha's Mrs. Kravitz type neighbor, which felt like a fun callback to both that classic show and to Marvel's WandaVision. As someone who never really liked Agatha and never read any of the comics regarding her, I am coming into this cold, and I imagine a lot of the audience will be too. But the show nails these street witches, for lack of a better term. They feel absolutely authentic, from the medium to the chemist to the security guard. These women feel like they really do live in Salem, Massachusetts, and since I live about 3 minutes outside of Salem, I can tell you they got it right. These witches feel like a reflection of the real town and real people within the town, which adds this layer of believability that I didn't expect in this. Now, let's talk about the Salem Seven, who are coming after Agatha. And sadly, they didn't stick the landing on them for me. They just didn't. These witch enforcers are supposed to be terrifying, but they look like Halloween costumes straight out of a party store. There's nothing scary or impressive about them. Worse, they didn't even display any significant magical power, which was anticlimactic. They're supposed to be this formidable force, but instead, they're underwhelming, both in appearance and power. Another thing that didn't really sit well with me is Disney's handling of diversity. They've clearly made an effort to introduce more diverse characters, which I support. That's great. But they've cast the morally gray, questionable, evil characters as diverse yet again. In Disney's DEI quest, they keep casting these types of characters with diverse actors, which is essentially the same as saying only villains should be diverse. It makes me wonder if there's anyone on their staff just thinking critically about the messages they are sending to their audience. But I'll give it a try. Maybe they'll prove me wrong. Still, this group of street witches, villainous or not, were a highlight because they were all interesting characters, played by talented actresses. I also loved the song that they sang in The Witch Road. I couldn't help but compare it to the cringe, I don't know any other word for it, cringe-worthy chanting of the acolyte witches. And let me tell you, this was so much better. It really does feel like the creators of Agatha all along took notes from the fans on what to avoid. They didn't hit everything, but they got a lot of it. The teenage boy also is a nice addition due to the absolute lack of men in this series. And this guy actually helps to solve the over tilting toward too many female leads because men, hey, can be witches too, right? Plus, I really like the mystery surrounding this teen. Every time he says his name, Agatha can't hear him. Every time he tries to say something about his past or who he is, Agatha can't quite follow, which makes me think that there's more to him than we are seeing. It's possible he's connected to the Nikki or Nicholas whose name is written on a note in the opening episode. And I'm curious to see where this series goes with him because he has some really nice comedic moments that elevate the mood of the rest of the cast, and he adds a nice dimension to the show itself. The two-episode opener follows the hero's journey format, with Agatha positioned as the hero or anti-hero on the quest. It's a tried and true story formula, so if Disney sticks with it, I think they might have a chance of at least producing a decent series. We'll have to see how the rest of the series goes, especially with the pacing, since the first episode was especially slow and painful. And the second episode picked up the pace. And if they hit some exciting action scenes in episode three, they could avoid the boring slog that Agatha is at risk of becoming. So it's worth checking out to see if you would enjoy, especially if you enjoy modern fantasy series. You may as well give it a try. So, have you watched Agatha All Along yet? What did you think of the first two episodes? I'm guessing it's going to take at least three episodes to really know what kind of show this is, but I'd love to hear your thoughts as well. Is it too slow for you, or are you kind of getting intrigued at this point and you want to see what comes next? Thanks so much, everybody. Be sure to like and subscribe, and I really appreciate that. Happy viewing, and I'll see y'all again soon. Bye.